guys, it's Alex, and today I'm here with a book review for Dawn by Elie Wiesel. I buddy read this with Dane Reads, who I will link down below. This is the second book in the Night trilogy. Night, the first book, is a non-fiction account of Elie Wiesel's time in Auschwitz and during the Holocaust in general. I've read that book a couple of times. I've given it 4 stars. I think it's a really powerful, really wonderful read, and it's one of those books that if you can handle reading about the Holocaust on an emotional, psychological level, I definitely think it's a must read. It's so powerful and so wonderful, and I just think so important to read. This is the sequel, the second in the trilogy. I also gave this 4 stars, but it's a very different book. This is not a memoir, it's not nonfiction at all. It's a novel about a fictional character who's going through a fictional scenario. And I definitely wasn't expecting that going into the book. I kind of thought it would be more nonfiction, more of a memoir, more of Elie Wiesel's time after the Holocaust. And it was a little bit of an adjustment going in, just reading the foreword and being like, oh, okay, this is a different kind of book. And in that way, it's almost not like a trilogy at all. They have similar themes and a similar topic in general, just because they're all so heavily influenced by the Holocaust, but there isn't much that actually connects them on a story level. Elisha is a teenager who's lost everything in the Holocaust. After the war, he moves to France, where he is recruited by an Israeli terrorist group. They are living in what is at the time Palestine, a British-occupied Palestine, and they're fighting against British rule in order to take control of what they consider their own country. The focus of this book is 2 murders that are to take place at dawn. One of them is an Israeli terrorist who was captured by the British, and they plan to execute him at dawn. And then the other is a British soldier who was captured by the Israelis in retaliation. And if the British go through with killing the Israeli terrorist, then the Israelis are going to go through with killing the British soldier. Elisha is the one who received the orders to kill the British soldier, and this book is mostly just his reflections on his life, what happened up to this point, what this killing is going to do to him, and what it means to him. I found it very fascinating. Like I said, it was a 4-star read. I don't think it had the power of Night. I'll say that first of all. Night is one of those books that I really would recommend to anyone who thinks they can handle it. I think Night is wonderful, I think it's a must-read, and I think it's an important piece of literature for our society. This I thought was very worthwhile and very wonderful, and I would recommend if you enjoy Night. But I don't think this book was important to me or powerful to me in the same way that Night was. Night had so much power just in being a true story, in being Elie Wiesel's account of what happened to him during the Holocaust and what it was like for him. And it's honestly one of the hardest books on the Holocaust that I've read. They're all difficult to some degree, but Night had an extra power to it that I don't think this book had. But I enjoyed this so much. It's a very short read. It's only about 80 pages, I think. I flew through it pretty quickly. I think Dane and I both read it in about a day or two, just getting through, and it's very reflective. This is not a book that has a whole lot of plot. It takes place in one night, and it's mostly just Elisha thinking about what he's going to do, and a lot of philosophy about what it means and what it means for the world and what it means to him and how people become terrorists. I think that was a really important theme for this book, was just like discussing how terrorists are formed, how you get to a point where people are willing to cross these lines or lines they used to have for causes. I think it was very, very fascinating. A lot of the book focuses on Elisha's guilt and his attempt to justify the murder, because he's not the one who decided to commit this murder. He's not the one who captured the British man. He's not the one who decided that he was going to be the killer. That was the leader of the terrorist group. He is essentially, in a way, being brainwashed, and I'm trying to think of the word that I can't think of. Hazed is kind of the closest I can get. And I know that's not the correct word, but it's like with fraternities, where you haze a group of people together, you force them to go through terrible things and suffer together, and when they come out the other side, they're bonded. That's kind of what it seems like is happening in this book with the terrorist group. If Elisha crosses these lines, then he can't turn his back on this terrorist group, because then it means that he's just committed murder in cold blood. And it's very interesting to see how much he doesn't want to commit this murder, how much he doesn't believe in this murder in a way. And he's trying to justify it to himself so he doesn't feel bad. A number of parallels are drawn between what Elisha is doing, committing this murder to a man who is their prisoner, and what the SS guards did to him. And it's obviously not a direct parallel. It's not these two things are exactly the same. But there are some interesting comparisons here, and I thought it was very interesting to read that. One thing I really appreciated is how little focus there was on the British soldiers in general, just like what the British were doing in Israel, any atrocities that the British committed. It's not about that at all. Like, the book very much glosses over that. It's like, this is the backdrop. But the book is just about Elisha, the individual Elisha, what Elisha is experiencing, what he's going through, and what he's planning to do. What the British are doing is kind of irrelevant. It doesn't matter if the British are horrible people or wonderful people. The only thing that really matters is this one murder that Elisha is committing. And in the book, it's in no way justified. Like, it does not feel like Wiesel is at any point justifying this murder or trying to justify this murder or on the side with the terrorists. He's not on any side, really. It kind of, he's just illustrating what this young boy is going through, because even at the time of these events, I do believe that Elisha is still a teenager. And I also just think it's wonderfully written. I think it's gorgeous. I really love Elie Wiesel's writing style, and I love the translation of this book. It was originally written in French, like a number of his earlier books were, I believe. I think he has written some now in English as well, but I felt this with Night too. It's just, they're beautiful to read. Like, his writing style, his word choice, the syntax, like, it's all just gorgeous. I don't think how much I love his writing style can be overstated. And I think Dane felt the same way when we were reading it together. It was just one of those books that, like, you're just struck by how pretty it is, how pretty the words are, how pretty it is on the surface. And there's so much below the surface as well, don't get me wrong. But it's just a worthwhile book. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was as good as Night, but I don't think it's trying to be Night. The two are almost incomparable because they're just doing completely different things with different goals, and I thought they're both really, really wonderful. If you're looking for something actiony or you like action or plot-driven books at all, you might not enjoy this one as much, but it's also very short, so it's easier that it's all about reflection because it's only 80 pages of reflection. It's not, 250 pages where nothing happens. I thought it was really worthwhile, and I would definitely recommend this if you enjoyed Night. Down below I will link Dane's review on this book if you're interested in seeing his thoughts as well. Let me know if you've read this book, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all again soon.